Okay, good evening. We're going to talk about the Virtual Academy. Let me start off by saying this is exciting, and at the same time, it's going to be a little bit frustrating. And let me tell you why. It's exciting because we've never done it before. And so we're pressing, uh, we're trying to expand what we've learned in this last year of COVID and to sort of formalize it to not be something to get us through something, but something that can be sustainable for the future. And so that's the exciting part. The same thing that makes it exciting makes it frustrating. It's frustrating because we've never really done it before in terms of looking at doing virtual learning and it be a sustainable school. We are very good at virtual learning. We have e-school classes and have been doing e-school for a long time, probably about 15 years or so, and have a very successful e-school program. This is not e-school. This is virtual school. That is, it is its own campus. So if I'm going to virtual school, I am going to be unenrolled from my home school, and I am going to be a student on the roster of the Plano ISD Virtual Academy. I will no longer be on the roster of my home school. I will be only on the roster of the Virtual Academy. So this is what we would call a transfer. You are going to be transferring to the Virtual Academy. I'm going to share my screen and work on a presentation with you all. So first, Dr. Sipes, are you seeing a presentation?
Yes, I am.
All right. So is it in present mode?
It is now.
All right, perfect. So here we are. All right, let's talk about a couple things here. We're talking about grades 3 through 12. But are you going to offer grades K1 and 2? No, ma'am, no, sir. We're going to offer grades 3 through 12. For next year, which is our pilot year, we're only offering grades 3 through 12. But why aren't you offering grades K1, 2? Because we're only offering grades 3 through 12. It's primarily going to be synchronous. That means that I will have to log into my computer. I will be in a teacher's classroom. She will be looking for me and my pretty face on the screen. And I will be synced with my teacher and my classmates every day. I say every day. I'm not sure if it's truly every day or every other day or something of that effect. But I will be required at some point every day to log in and sync up with my teachers and my class. We're going to follow the Plano ISD scope and sequence for all of the courses and all the grades. We will have the same exact academic calendar as the district. So the same spring breaks, winter breaks, any other kind of break and holiday will still exist for the Virtual Academy. We are not able to offer the full banquet of programs, classes, XYZ that the school district can offer. We can't offer everything virtually. And so we do have some limited offerings. I think they're pretty robust, but there are some things that won't be there. In elementary, for example, I know Math Rocks is not going to be available at least next year. Remember our pilot year, it won't be available next year for Virtual Academy. For high school, humanities will not be available next year. And there's many other things. We'll get to those in a minute. There are no extracurricular activities. Now, we do have an exception for 11th and 12th graders, but for everyone else, if I'm a ninth grader and I was planning on being a cheerleader, well, then you might want to think about whether Virtual Academy is for you, because remember, you are transferring from your home campus and your new home campus is the Virtual Academy. Now, if the Virtual Academy wants to have a cheer squad, That is totally up to them. I will not have anything to do with that. I'm joking, but I'm not joking. We do have on our website an app, a job posting for a virtual academy principal. We are looking to hire that person soon and very soon. So once we get the principal in place, and we'll get the kids registered and enrolled, uh, they can form whatever club and activity they want. Honestly, I'm very hopeful. I hope that the students at the virtual academy want to form an esports team, which esports is a big thing nowadays. I don't know if you know that. So all of that to say, there's no extracurricular activities. Your new homeschool is the virtual academy. Now we do have an exception for 11th and 12th graders. However, that exception may not hold. It's a very complicated thing, but a lot of the laws that are going to govern how any school district does a virtual academy are still being debated and talked about right now in Austin. I believe the legislative session ends around May 25th or 24th. I can't remember. But for the month of May, uh, our legislators are down there writing laws for us to implement. And right now, the law that is a little bit concerning for me to guarantee anyone, but right now it's only 11th and 12th graders, to have extracurricular activities. It says that any school district that does virtual school, those courses, those classes must be synchronous. Now, that's not a problem. That is not a problem for us at all. The problem is that um, it's hard to let somebody have uh, activities at their former home campus if I have to do a synchronous schedule. So if we're doing math every day, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 o'clock, but you're supposed to have band at your home campus at 8:30 to 9:30, you can see how that's a problem. So if we can do more asynchronous learning in the virtual academy, then we can look at offering more activities on the home campus. Asynchronous means you're not synced up with your class. You don't have to be at the same uh, in the same video room as everybody else at the same time. And so, but when we require everybody to be together at the same time, that is time that you can't go to that campus for whatever activity it was. So I want to give you an update on that. We're following it closely every single day. I open it up and see where it is. So we'll give you more information on that as we get closer. Okay. All right, Matt, did my screen switch over? Are we on a new slide?
Yes, sir. You are.
Good deal.
You're good.
All right, so I'm going to read some information that I pulled directly off of what I call a one pager. Dr. Sipes spent weekends and weekends. No, he didn't. He spent some good time though, working on a one pager that puts a lot of information into a one page information sheet. And I'm sort of going to go through that. The first thing I already told you about, and that's the legislation is still meeting, so things might change. The second thing is just reminding you, it's grades 3 through 12. It's full-time. You're a full-time student. It's free, and it's going to be for next school year. The third bullet talks about, you're going to get the same quality education that we would give any of our Plano ISD students on any of our campuses. And then it talks about those extracurricular activities. You're not going to be able to do it. If you're 11th to 12th, we're trying our best to make it happen. But in general, it's probably not going to happen for anyone, including 11th and 12th. Enrollment criteria, you have to be a Plano ISD resident. You have to be in good standing with your attendance and your discipline. You are making, as with any transfer is a 1-year commitment. So if I'm a student at Clark and I want to transfer to Shepton, when I sign that form, I'm saying I'm signing to go there for the full school year. The same is true for this virtual academy. If you're in the virtual academy, you have to be an active student, an active participant. That means cut your camera on and participate in your class. Uh, some things that we're going to consider is, are you passing your classes? Like right now, this school year, were you passing your classes? Are you passing your STAR exam or your end of course exams? What do your MAP scores look like? Did you have any problems following code of conduct or especially technology concerns? All of that we'll look at. But the most important thing for you as a parent to look at is looking at what we call the profile of a successful virtual student. And I'll give you all these links here in a minute. That profile gives you some great information about what really is a good virtual student. It's not because it's convenient for the family in terms of somebody to watch the dog during the day or something like that. You really need to look at your child as a learner and what type and style of learner is my child and what works best for him or her. If your child is receiving services through an ARD committee, a 504 committee, or an LPAC committee, they will also need that committee to agree on placement at the virtual academy. What is the instructional design for grades 3 through 5? It's going to be Plano ISD teachers using our curriculum. Don't expect, and I hope you didn't expect this, they're not going to be in front of a laptop camera for 7-8 hours a day. No, but 3 to 4 hours might be a general expectation that I would have for your student. In middle school and high school, pretty much the same thing. We will have some asynchronous opportunities, but I could not and I cannot call the classes asynchronous because they can't be so far according to laws that they're getting ready to pass. Our virtual teachers will not be split. They won't be, in the mornings working at a physical campus and in the afternoons virtual teachers. The teachers we're going to hire are full-time virtual teachers, full-time virtual principal. Their energy and attention is devoted to the virtual academy students. The course offerings. Okay, so I'm going to send you to a website that you probably already saw online. I don't believe we've made any updates lately, but I just want to talk about some classes that we're not going to be able to offer. Math Rocks for elementary and middle school. It cannot happen for next school year. I know that might make you upset. I know that might make you frustrated. I know you might want to call me on the phone tomorrow, but we cannot make it work for next school year. And so I apologize. We will try to look at it in the future, but right now, it's just not going to be able to work for next school year. The IB program, whether it's the PYP at Huffman or the diploma program at Plano East, will not be able, we can't put that in a virtual setting. Can't happen, won't even look at it to happen because it can't happen. The Health Sciences Academy, that is not going to go virtual, neither is Academy High School. So if you are at Academy High School or the Health Sciences Academy and you transfer to the virtual academy, you have forfeited your seat at those two academies. And if you are in the newcomer program, that means you have very limited English proficiency. We might not be able to serve you, but an LPAC committee will make that determination. Application. I know it looks like application is spelled wrong. It really is not. That I has a dot on it, but it sort of got merged together when I blew up the picture here. Application. So we opened up the window last week and there are people applying. I'll even give you a little bit of some numbers. It's about 120 people have applied so far. 120 people. Applying doesn't mean you're in. Applying means you applied. The window is going to close 1 week from today. So then what happens is sometime in June, I can't give you the exact date because I'm scared to give you the exact date because I'm just not sure if I can commit yet. But eventually, sometime in June, probably mid-June, you're going to get a letter, an email that says, you have been accepted to the virtual academy. And it'll give you a little sample of what your schedule is. And if there was something that your student was planning to take that we know we won't offer, we'll delineate that as well. And so we will give you an acceptance offer. It's an offer. And then you have to accept that offer. It'll probably give you about a week to do it. So when you accept that offer, that is what puts you in the virtual academy. So it's a 3-step process. 1, I'm going to apply. 2, the school district's going to look at it over everything about my student, and then they may send me an offer. When I get the offer, I have to accept it. That acceptance triggers you going to the virtual academy. And that the offers will probably go out mid-June. You'll have probably till around the end of June to accept. Okay, now that was the full presentation. What time is it? 6:20. I told you I'd be about 20 minutes. Now, pay attention here, folks. I'm going to cut on that chat. I'm going to cut on the chat. I'm going to answer questions that I know we didn't talk about in the presentation. Am I going to answer questions about if Math Rocks is going to be in the virtual academy? No, because we all know Math Rocks will not be in the virtual academy. So here we go. We're going to cut on some chat. This is going to be interesting. Here we go. And if you have questions, you can feel free to type those questions in the chat. Dr. Sipes was so nice to put in the Virtual Academy website. If you want to browse through there, he also put the 1-pager in place. The PACE program, Dr. Sipes, can you answer that?
Yes, I can. So students served through PACE and GT will still receive GT services according to the Plano ISD model. So in elementary, that's a pull-out model in grades 3 through 5. In middle school, they'll still have classes will be differentiated for students in PACE. We won't offer the humanities courses that the PACE 6, 7, and 8 courses that students have on campus, and the humanities courses that are at the high school and senior high aren't included in the course offerings either. But students will have instructional experiences that are differentiated for them as a result of them being in the PACE program.
Thank you, Dr. Sipes. Now, orchestra, ROTC, anything like that is technically, I can see why you're asking it, because those are co-curricular classes. Co-curricular, any fine art or athletic activity will not be offered at the virtual academy. Orchestra, choir, band, debate, ROTC, any kind of sport, it will not be offered. Now, I'm saying that, however, if the kids that are enrolled at the virtual academy, the principal will have little school meetings, I don't know, once a week, once every 2 weeks. If that principal says, hey, do you guys want to form your own orchestra here amongst ourselves as virtual academy students? That might happen. I don't know. If they want to form a little virtual academy choir, that might happen. But will you be able to participate back at the choir from your former campus? No, because that is your former campus. You are now a virtual academy student. All right, there was a lot more questions. I don't know, Dr. Sipes, why don't you help me out and just grab a question and go?
There's several questions about course offerings, and not to escape asking them on here, but if you'll go to the website at that link that I posted at the top of the chat for course offerings, that's a pretty good list of what's going to be offered. So I see a bunch of fine arts requirements. Dr. Gober just asked those. There will not be a participation to participate in ROTC. as a part of the course offerings. Dr. Gober spoke about co-curriculars just a second ago.
Here's a question. It says, how will the GPA be scored? So you're talking, I guess, about a high school student, 9 through 12. Some of our 8th graders take high school classes, but their GPA does not count in that. So GPA right now has been undetermined. We have not come to a final decision on how we're going to do GPA. And the reason is because it might be told to us from the state. The state might tell us how to do it. I can tell you this, that the virtual academy students are only competing against virtual academy students. So I can't go to the virtual academy 11th grade and then return to 12th grade to whoever senior high, and those points go with me. No, those points will probably be counted as online school, and we don't give GPA points for online school. However, if you're in and stay in the virtual academy, you'll only compete against other virtual academy kids. That's my answer right now, but that could change tomorrow based on what legislation comes out. And quite honestly, our committee has not put a lot of time and effort into that because we have a feeling the state's going to tell us how to do that. So more to come on GPA, but I think it's a good question. I understand why you're asking. But the bottom line is you will not be able to compete GPA wise with the home campus because that's not your campus. You're in the virtual academy. All right, let's keep going through. Dr. Sipes, you found another one?
What is done for PE credits? We'll have PE offered at middle school. Middle school students will still have to get 4 semesters of PE, and then high school students, grades 9 through 12, still a full credit. Those will be included in the course offerings for the virtual academy. Getting a question about why it starts at 3rd grade instead of K through 2. The current and pending state legislation has outlined that for us. Dr. Gober spoke at that at the beginning. Speech therapy, special ed services. I'm sure your child's ARD committee would be a part of that conversation and what services can be provided. Debate offered for 9th grade. Again, I would just encourage you to look at the course offerings on the website that we have posted there. There are, that would be your best bet for course offerings. If you're moving in from an out of district into our district, you would just need to provide the necessary enrollment paperwork, just like you would for any other campus. Correct, Dr. Gober?
That is correct, but that may change. There's an iteration of that law that says you cannot take out of district kids to your virtual academy. And I understand that law because it would just be the Wild West of kids across the state moving all over the place. I mean, not moving, but attending different school districts. So the answer right now is I don't know. I suspect it will not be allowed if you're an out of district kid unless you're in a Plano ISD employee's child. That is a whole different type of transfer, and the state does allow that. So if you're Plano ISD staff member's child and you live outside the district, the state allows that, has always allowed that. All right, what if my child has taken 7 courses in 11th grade, but 3 of them you're not offering at the virtual academy? Okay, 11th and 12th graders are going to be handled a little different. So we will look at each one of those kids and look at what courses that they were planning to take and what we have at the virtual academy, what we don't have. It could, now I hope y'all, this is being recorded, so don't tell me what I said because I know what I said. It could be the fact that we allow that student to go back to that home campus to take that course. That could be the case. But those 11th and 12th graders, we will probably have little mini conferences with each one of those students before we we admit them to make sure that everybody's okay with the plan. All right, Dr. Sipes, you found another question?
If for some reason we are not able to decide on enrolling into the virtual academy before the 24th, will we get another chance to enroll in June? And that answer is no, correct? We're not going to open enrollment again.
We, I got to tell you no, and I'm tell you why. It's because like we are a little bit behind this, and so we're trying to get caught up and trying to make sure that we can put together something, respectable as you would expect in our district. So we have to go to May 24th. So what I would do if I were you, if you're thinking you might change your mind, I would go ahead and apply because that's not committing you. You're not going to be committed. I know that sounds strange. You won't be committing to the virtual academy until you accept the offer. And then that acceptance of the offer, the due date for that probably will be at the end of June. So I would apply now while the window's open because you can always decline before the end of June. So that would be the advice I give you for that. All right. Will teachers teach from home or from a centralized location? They're going to teach like every other teacher. They're going to come to work, spend money on that gasoline, park their car in that parking lot, and go into a building and teach school, uh, just like every other teacher. Those teachers and that principal will be working at a Plano ISD site. All right, Sipes, you find another question, sir?
Asking about whether or not a student retains enrollment in a virtual academy from year to year. So 2021, 21, 22, then for 22, 23, does the child stay enrolled automatically?
That's a great question. I don't know who asked it, but that was a great question. Yes, that's their new home campus. They can be a third grader and you can graduate from the virtual academy. Maybe not next year, because I have a feeling those 12th graders are going to want to graduate from their home campus. But next year's a pilot year. Next year's funny stuff. Next year we're still experimenting with what works and what doesn't work. And so next year it will probably be the only year that we would allow students to graduate from the home campus. But after next year, what we're planning is that all seniors that graduate from the virtual academy, class 23 and on, will be VA virtual academy graduates. Good question. But no, you don't reapply every year for the virtual academy. Once you're in, assuming you're doing well.
We have a question about assignments being due until 11:59, the day that they are due. Will this be the case? I imagine once we hire the principal and everything, those things will become clearer as we get closer to the school year. Is that right, Dr. Gober? Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, that was a COVID-19. We have to figure out how to take attendance kind of situation. I don't suspect that will be what happens at the virtual academy. But that level of detail will be worked out by the new principal and the new staff. But they will have due dates, obviously. But I don't know if it's that a whole 11:59 thing. But I mean, quite honestly, I think whenever it's due, it's due. So don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till 11:58. Okay, Dr. Sykes, what else you got?
Since Virtual Academy is not offered for K2, what other options are available for students in these grades if we preferred to stay in a virtual environment? There's several questions like that.
Okay, we don't have any other options, and I'm sorry, we don't. Quite honestly, I don't even know if the state's going to allow anything under the third grade. So it might not even be a Plano thing. It might be a whole state of Texas thing. And if you want to understand a little bit why, it's literacy. It's such a developmental age that it is a very, very difficult and tricky thing to teach literacy. And at the same time, you're teaching how to work the computer, how to stay engaged in Zoom, and what the etiquette and protocol is, and how to submit assignments and attach this to that and this and that. So there's a lot of challenges with K through 2 that many districts are are putting a hold on, because it's hard enough to pull this off, grades 3 through 12. Some districts are doing 5 through 12. We feel comfortable that we can do 3 through 12, and we don't feel comfortable that we can do K. I mean, that's the answer right there. We just don't feel comfortable that we can pull it off to the level that our community expects in grades K1 and 2, at least not the first year.
Cutoff for schedule changes at Clark High School ends June 3rd. How do we deal with that as it relates to the virtual acceptance?
So you should apply, and you won't need to accept the offer if you're offered until the end of June.
Students will be grouped by grade level in elementary 3, 4, and 5. This was a question. And in high school and middle school, they would be grouped just like they would according to course offerings at a traditional brick and mortar campus. We're not going to plan to mix middle school and high school in that way.
Dr. Sipes, I have it on my computer. What's the name of that House bill? Is it 1468 or something like that?
1468, I believe that's right.
Somebody asked, what law are you talking about, Gober? We got to make sure you're not making this up. I believe it's House Bill 1468. All right. I'm going to cut off the chat for a minute. Quite honestly, I don't think I can read all this, so we're going to have to slow this down. I just cut off the chat, so I'm sorry. Just hold on one second. If you're accepted into the virtual academy and you accept the offer, that is the only scenario where the district will complete the transfer for you. Because we accepted you into the academy, you said, yes, I do want to go. I still want to go. So you don't need to complete anything with a transfer to go to the virtual academy. Applying, getting accepted, and accepting the offer is your transfer. And we will take care of all the paperwork in the back. So somebody asked me a question about the transfer process. You don't worry about the transfer process. So here's another question related to transfer. If I applied my student for an intra-district transfer, that means I wanted to go to a different school within the district. Those decisions aren't going to be made until June 15th. Now, if I apply to the virtual school, is that going to mess up my transfer that I already applied for? No, it won't, because all the transfers for Virtual Academy will happen at the end of June after parents accept it. So you keep it. If you're applying for transfers, you keep on applying and don't withdraw anything. Keep it right where it is, which is a great question. Now you understand why dates have to be where dates have to be. Okay. Stud, American Studies. I don't believe we're offering that. Am I correct?
That is correct, Dr. Gober. Will there be counselors assigned to the virtual academy? Yes.
There'll be, keep on going, Dr. Sipes.
Will all necessary technology tools be available to students? Yes, we will provide computers, whether that's a Chromebook or another device, and hotspots if needed for students.
I like this next question. It says, if we enroll in the virtual academy, will there be one or more teachers assigned to a student? Oh, yes. Talking about middle school, they will have 6 or 7 teachers assigned to him or her. They will have classes, periods of the day, things of that nature. I'm not saying they'll meet every day for 7 periods, because I don't think that's going to be the case. But they will have teachers, content specialized teachers assigned to your student. Go ahead.
Um, just to confirm, as this question is asking, the only students that we're planning on, and again, as Dr. Gober said, we're waiting on legislation to come out on this, but the only students currently that would have an option to go back to their home campus would be students in 11th and 12th grade. And the other student would not have that option to go back to a traditional brick and mortar campus for any course offerings. So just wanted to
Thank you, Dr.
confirm.
Sipes. That's absolutely right. And the reason is because of this. If I'm an 11th grader or a 12th grader, I might have spent the last 2 or 3 years in high school working up towards, I don't know, something fancy ceramics. And fancy ceramics is only offered 12th grade year, but you have to have XYZ prerequisite to take fancy ceramics. I'm making this course up, by the way. And so now I'm in 12th grade next year. I did all my prerequisites for this ceramics class, but because of family circumstances or personal circumstances, I really need to be a virtual student. However, if it works in my schedule, by the way, that's a key statement. If it works in my schedule, could I take that class, that ceramics class? Yes, that junior or that senior can, because this is something we didn't know we were going to do a year ago. We did not know we were going to have a virtual academy. Thus, 4 years ago, when you created your plan, you didn't know that 3 years of work towards a ceramics class was going to go to waste. That is why it's open to 11th and 12th grade. And I hope we don't have to close it. However, I have to watch you, me, everybody needs to watch that legislation. So does everybody understand the 11th to 12th grade? The answer is I hope so. But I know if it didn't work out for you, you might not understand, but that is the reason. So there are no extracurricular, co-curricular activities at the home campus for grades 3 through 10. Now, if they want some co-curricular, extracurricular, any kind of activity, the principal, once that person is hired, can get the kids together, say, hey, do we want teams? Do we want robotics? Do we want to be a coding club, a esports team? Do we want to have a choir? That can happen, but it will not happen back at the home campus. This is a new campus. When you transfer to a new campus, you can't keep a string attached to the old campus. You have a new campus. All right, Mr. Dr. Sipes.
The fine arts requirement, just to cover that again, in middle school, they'll have an option of visual arts and some speech courses to take as electives to fulfill that fine art requirement. And then in the high school, there is an art to fulfill the one credit of fine arts at the high school level. We had some folks join late, and I'm getting this question later on in the chat. So I just want to clarify. After the 21-22 school year, you are not committed for the 22-23 school year. You'd be able to evaluate your options just like anybody does through the Plano ISD transfer process. But once you accept a formal offer into the virtual academy for this upcoming school year, you are committed to that per our transfer guidelines.
However, if you're accepted next year and you're doing fine, you don't need to reapply for the following year. You're an automatic acceptance, but it's not a forced thing. If you say, you know what, I did it for a year, I did good, I know I can go there, I don't need to be accepted again because I'm an automatic entry, but I really want to get back on my drill team because, I like to be a high kicker. That's fine. You're not, it's not prison. It's not virtual prison. And then other things, family dynamics might change where maybe I had to go to virtual academy this year because of my or grandparents' health, whatever, things changed. And so, you know what? It's safer for me to go back to school or whatever the scenario is. You're never going to be imprisoned at the virtual academy, but you will be for 1 year at a time because we can't keep going back and forth like we did this school year for I hope it's obvious reasons. We, we can't staff appropriately. So when you make a commitment, you're making it 1 year at a time. Great, great, great. Dr. Sykes, what else we got?
How frequent will teachers check in with their students? Elementary grades, they'll have daily check-ins. They'll have synchronous instruction on a daily basis. Middle school and high school students will have weekly check-ins with teachers for synchronous instruction and just to check in with teachers. So elementary on the daily, secondary, middle school, probably more frequent than high school, but certainly on a weekly basis.
Okay, I think we got through all the questions. Folks, I'm going to open up the chat again.
How about Dr. Gober? I think I heard, or maybe you did answer them. There was a question about counselors. Will there be counselors staffed? And there was a question about class size. Those are the two that I don't know that we talked about.
Great. We will have at least one counselor. I can't tell you how many counselors we're going to have until I know how many students are enrolled. As of this morning, there was a little over 120, 3 through 12 students enrolled. So if it ends up being only 120 students, that's going to be one counselor. So yes, there will be a counselor. And the other question of class size, we will maintain the class right now, right? The plan is for elementary, those class sizes that what I'm trying to say, the capacities that we have set already for grades 3, 4, and 5, we will try to maintain those at the virtual academy. But it could be the fact that the class sizes are way smaller. I just don't know until enrollment is over. For example, I'm giving you an example, but I'm using real numbers. So I don't know if it's an example or not. But as of this morning, we have grades 3, grades 4, all the way up to 12. One of those grades only had 6 students interested for virtual academy. That was the lowest, was 6 students for a grade. The highest I had was 19. Now, I'm not going to tell you which grade was which, but so if we get to the end of enrollment and there's only 6 students in that grade, well, first, I don't even know if we would offer that grade. We'd have to have that would be some serious conversations that we would need to have. But I can't talk about class size other than to say, for especially elementary, they would not be larger than what you would find in a traditional school. Okay, let's open up chat. We'll do about 5 more minutes of questions. I hope we're not going to ask questions that we already answered. Let's see what happens. You can chat away. Man, that was a long question you had typed out and ready to go. My child's in 9th grade. If she's in virtual academy this year, she moves to the home campus. Let me think about this. If she moves to the home campus, 22, 23. I don't know. The question is, if I'm in virtual academy during Humanities 1, and I go back to the campus my sophomore year for Humanities 2, can I take Humanities 2? I don't know. Honestly, I don't think so. And that's because Humanities is not taught. Oh, it's a complicated answer. The answer is probably no, but I will try to get that put on our FAQ. That's really not a bad question. I like that question. How does the district intend to handle unexpected increase in COVID as virtual academy is a separate entity It appears you discouraged transfer to virtual academy during the year. Well, we never had a virtual academy this year. We don't have virtual academy this year. We had school at home this year. That question is the perfect question as to why people can't go in and out the virtual academy. Because we're saying the virtual academy is its own school. And when we realize how many students want to sign up and go to this school, this independent school within our school district, we are going to staff it appropriately for those students. So we can't have all these students say, yes, I'm going to go to virtual academy. And then in October say, oh, never mind, homecoming's here. I'm going back to school. That won't happen because we have already spent taxpayer dollars to staff a faculty to teach the virtual academy students. So we don't have virtual academy this school year. We have school at home. Next year, we will have a new campus in Plano ISD. You can't see it, but it's there. And it's called the Virtual Academy. All right, Dr. Sykes, what else we got?
STAR testing and district tests will be administered in person. There's an FAQ. There's a question on our FAQ page about those. Students will be required to attend those in person. Middle school activities, we've talked about that.
That's a good question. I like that. Do you expect them to do spelling bee, geography bee, whiz quiz? Yes, yes, yes. If those students express an interest, yes. Somebody, I don't think I got it in here, but somebody asked me somewhere else. What about science fair? Yes, they can do science fair. They can do whatever they want to do, but they're going to do it as a virtual academy student. So if it's an individual thing, it's an individual thing. If it's a team thing, get your whiz quiz buzzers out, find you 4 other kids, and y'all go whiz quiz away as a virtual academy whiz quiz team. Keep on going, Dr. Sipes.
Will I be guaranteed a spot in my home campus in 22-23?
You're always guaranteed a home spot, whatever spot at your home campus. That's your home campus. That's what you're zoned for. But you can't do it during the school year. You can't transfer during the school year. Transfers are for the beginning of the next school year. So if I transfer for virtual academy, I can't change my mind in October, November, December, January, February, March, April. I have to wait until next August of 2022.
Campus location in case supply or assignment pickup or anything. There's a question.
I don't know yet. That's a good question, but we will answer that when you get your offer letter. It will tell you, because you are right. There are times where you do need to pick up your devices or go to that camp, go to this location to take your STAR test, for example. You will have to come to the campus. So we don't have that determined quite yet. We're close, but not yet.
If a child is receiving accommodations within the district per their ARD plan, can we expect them to be met or taken into account at the virtual academy?
I don't know because I'm not on that ARD committee, but whoever is on that ARD committee will get together with those other members of that ARD committee and make that decision. But I don't know what those accommodations are.
Will there be
I don't want you sharing those on the chat either. So that ARD decision can be made at the ARD committee.
Or there'll still be a school at home option?
No. Great question. Thank you, whoever asked that. No, there is no school at home option. It is everybody, welcome back to school. Haven't seen you in a while. Let's try to get back to normal. And I'm saying all this not knowing what the world's going to look like in August. So we're going back to school. If that's not for you, we have a virtual academy option. Those are your options as of today. Good question. I like that question.
Will students need to be up to date on their immunizations?
It's still a school, so yes. In all region competition, probably not. All region competition for what? Because the Virtual Academy doesn't have any teams right now. So if the Virtual Academy creates teams, is accepted into the UIL, and has a coach, a sponsor, director, whatever it is, then maybe. But no, right now, Virtual Academy students do not have an orchestra. They don't even have a principal. So I do not see any students in Virtual Academy doing anything for all region next school year. I just don't see it happening.
To confirm, if there are not enough students enrolled for a certain grade at the Virtual Academy, then that grade will not be offered as a Virtual Academy option.
That's correct. That is correct. But let's wait for enrollment to end next week. The best thing to do if you're on the fence is enroll, because you can always decline the offer if you're accepted. But if you don't apply to enroll, you won't get another chance, because the window is going to close May 24th. We are going to build staffing models. We are going to put together schedules. We're going to do all the things we need to do to get school started. And we can't go back and redo that based on a whole new wave of people that want to get in. We're going to base it off of applications through with this enrollment window. So jump in while the water's warm. Anything else, Dr. Sykes? Did we make it through? I think we did. And I think it's 6:55. Now, I realized that this Zoom, I did not realize it until we were in the middle of the Zoom, but this Zoom could only hold 100 people. So there were people trying to get in that could not get in. And so I apologize, but this entire video has been recorded, and I will post it on the website sometime tomorrow. I thank you guys for being awesome participants. And if you have questions that you did not ask, that you do want to ask, maybe they're too confidential or personal, feel free to send Dr. Sipes an email. You can send one to me too, Dr. Sipes said. What about you? You can send one to me, Courtney.gober@PISD or Matthew.Sipes@PISD.edu. You can always talk to your school counselor, your school principal, or anybody else that you traditionally use to get your questions answered. Thank you guys very much. Have a great evening and be safe. Thank you.